Good, happy to. Yes, sir.
Good morning, everyone. This meeting is called to order. Mr. Trillman, has anyone signed up for public comment? Thank you very much. Good morning, Ms. Gonzalez.
Good morning.
Let's see, we have no cases to reconsider under agenda item 3. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Let's look at tax liability cases under agenda item 4. We have 2 tax cases on docket 46.
We have 2 tax liability cases under agenda item 4. The first one is TD 2201000422. Commissioner Dimerson.
I agree with staff recommendation.
Commissioner Alvarez.
I agree with staff's recommendation.
Mr. Chairman.
Agree with staff recommendation.
The second case is TD 0260822. Commissioner Emerson,
Agree with staff recommendation.
Commissioner Alvarez,
I agree with staff's recommendation.
and Mr. Chairman.
I agree with staff recommendation. We have no fair housing cases under agenda item 5.
That's correct.
Under agenda item 6, we have no wage claim cases pulled for additional discussion.
We have no pulled wage claim cases under agenda item 6. However, there are additional wage claim cases to be voted. You should have received the short form dissent list already.
I move we accept staff recommendations on the remaining wage claim cases on docket 46.
I second the motion, except for those cases in which I'm dissenting as reflected on the wage claim short form dissent list for docket 46.
Concur with the chairman's motion, except for the cases on which I'm dissenting is reflected in the wage claim short form dissent list for docket 46.
Motion passes with the exceptions noted. Move to agenda item 7, consideration of unemployment insurance cases on docket 46. Please proceed when you're ready.
Case number 2504241, Commissioner Alvarez.
We should grant an MR, set aside the CA decision and deem the claimant's CA appeal timely because there was a timely appeal in commission records. While the claimant did not have good cause to miss the AT1 hearing, the AT1 decision is not supportable by the available record at the AT1 hearing. The claimant's AT appeal should be deemed timely because the determination was sent at the beginning of the pandemic and the commission did not have the resources to process the incoming appeals. Regarding the separation, the claimant tried to avoid the flight by walking outside while a supervisor tried to avoid the fight by walking outside while a supervisor tried to calm the other employee down. However, the other employee ran after the claimant and physically assaulted the claimant, who merely defended himself from the attack. Commission President, Appeal number 1984-CA-77 states that an employee does not voluntarily engage in a violation of the rule against fighting is not guilty of misconduct. There is no evidence that the claimant voluntarily engaged in the fight. As such, the MR should be granted. The prior CA decision set aside, the CA decision deemed timely, no good cause, timely AT appeal, no misconduct.
We should grant the claimant's motion for rehearing. First, I do not dispute that the claimant appeal to the commission was timely. Next, we should modify the AT2 decision. Regarding good cause, the claimant missed the hearing because he misread the instructions on the hearing packet and failed to register for the hearing. Since Commission President holds that misreading a hearing notice does not provide a party with good cause for their non-appearance, we should hold that the claimant did not have good cause for missing the AT1 hearing. Next, I agree that the claimant filed a timely appeal to the initial determination. Finally, concerning the merits, the claimant was separated when he engaged in a physical altercation with a coworker in violation of the employer's policy. Although the claimant alleged self-defense, he provided insufficient evidence to indicate that he was not the aggressor in the altercation. As such, the claimant's conduct was mismanagement of his position of employment and was misconduct connected with the work. Hence, we should grant the claimant's motion for a rehearing, deem the claimant's appeal to the commission as timely, and modify the appeal tribunal decision. The claimant did not establish good cause for missing the AT1 hearing. Timely claimant appeal to the initial determination of misconduct.
Grant the motion for rehearing, timely commission appeal, reverse the AT, claimant establish good cause for AT1, timely claimant appeal and resubmit.
Then we have not yet achieved a majority vote. Yes, go ahead.
We have not achieved a majority vote. The chairman has voted to resubmit on the merits.
I would agree with Chairman Daniel to resubmit.
Thank you. We will resubmit the case.
Case number 2692388, Commissioner Dimerson.
We should reverse the appeal tribunal decision. First, the employer's appeal to the commission should be deemed timely based on the employer's facts confirmation, evidence in the timely appeal. Concerning the job separation, the claimant quit to care for her minor child. Although we empathize with the claimant, the records show that the claimant did not apply for leave nor seek any accommodations with the employer prior to her resignation. Additionally, although the claimant produced a doctor's note about her minor child's medical needs, the claimant did not provide the medical documentation to the employer prior to her separation. Since the record suggests that the claimant did not attempt to apprise the employer about her child's medical condition, nor request reasonable accommodations from the employer prior to quitting, the claimant did not establish good cause connected with the work to quit. Hence, we should find the employer filed a timely appeal to the commission and reverse the AT decision. Voluntary leaving, reimbursing employer not billed, adequate employer response.
The decision is correct. The claimant had to quit her job to care for her ill infant. The claimant was advised not to work for the employer in an in-office capacity. The claimant informed the employer of her child's illness and requested to work from home. The employer informed her no at-home positions were available prior to her quitting. Since the claimant's separation was due to medical advice from her child's doctor, the claimant is eligible for benefits. Affirm the AT, no voluntary leaving bill employer.
Timely commission appeal, reverse the AT, voluntary leaving, reimbursing employer not billed, adequate employer response.
Short form dissent.
I have your short form dissent, Commissioner Alvarez.
Case number 27555526, Commissioner Dimerson,
The appeal tribunal decision should be reversed on the good cause issue. The employer had become overwhelmed with childcare issues that could reasonably be attributed to COVID-related circumstances. As a result, the employer got behind in its work and missed the appeal hearing. The testimony reflects that the employer was closed for a 2-week period. Since the employer's backlog of work was ultimately the end result of childcare issues that could reasonably be attributed to COVID-related circumstances, the employer should be granted good cause for its non-appearance. Accordingly, the employer had good cause for its non-appearance. Resubmit.
The decision is correct. The employer admitted at the rehearing, that their failure to participate in the hearing was simply because they forgot about it. This is not good cause. Regarding the job separation, the claimant is entitled to benefits whether analyzed as a discharge or quit. The claimant's hours were significantly reduced and he filed a claim seeking partial unemployment. The employer discharged the claimant for seeking partial unemployment. Filing a claim for benefits is not misconduct, and holding that filing a claim for partial unemployment is voluntary quitting would effectively prevent an individual from ever being able to file benefits when their hours are reduced. Affirm the AT, no good cause, no misconduct, chargeback.
Affirm the AT, employer did not establish good cause for AT1, no misconduct, chargeback.
Short form dissent.
I have your short form dissent, Commissioner
Thank
Dimerson.
thank you.
case number 2890896, Commissioner Dimerson,
We should modify the appeal tribunal decision. First, I agree that the employer filed both a timely appeal and a timely response to the notice of claim. Regarding the job separation, as a contractor for a large retailer, the employer adopted its client's policies in addition to its own. The claimant was made aware that he would also be bound by the client's policy. When the claimant violated the client's policy, he was warned that future violations would result in his discharge. Because the claimant was aware that his job was in jeopardy, his additional infractions constituted misconduct connected with the work. We should modify the AT decision, timely employer appeal, timely employer protest, misconduct.
I do not contest the ruling as to the timeliness of the employer's appeal or timeliness of their protest. Regarding the job separation, the employer testified they had a progressive disciplinary policy. They further admitted they did not follow their policy when it came to discharging the claimant. In accordance with Commission President, since the employer failed to follow their policy and the claimant was not afforded progress through the appropriate steps, the claimant did not commit misconduct connected with the work. Affirm the AT, timely appeal, timely protest, no misconduct.
Modify the AT, timely employer appeal, timely employer protest, misconduct.
I'm sorry, could you repeat your vote for me?
Modify the AT, timely employer appeal, timely employer protest, misconduct.
Thank you.
Short form dissent.
I have your short form dissent, Commissioner Alvarez.
Thank you.
case number 2904607, Commissioner Dimerson,
The AT decision is not supportable. The commission voted on an earlier docket that the employer had good cause to miss the first hearing. concerning timeliness of the employer's response to the NMPC, the employer gave credible and consistent testimony that the company responded in August 2020 within the time frame allowed for a timely response. The traditional so-called technical difficulty period recognized by the agency as associated with the pandemic, which is stated as mid-March through April 2020, is unrealistically short. We know that TWC's phone, fax, mail, and online systems were comprehensively overwhelmed from the beginning of the pandemic through at least September or October 2020, if not later, based on the calls, emails, and letters received by my office alone. Thus, the employer's consistent testimony is credible proof that the company responded in a timely manner. Accordingly, we should reverse the AT decision, hold good cause for missing the first hearing, and find that the employer filed a timely response to the chargeback notice, and then resubmit the case on the merits of the chargeback issue. If my fellow commissioners are not ready to join me in that vote, I would also support holding a rehearing to allow the employer an opportunity to obtain and submit documentary evidence from its fax services provider regarding its response to the NMPC that it faxed in August of 2020.
The AT decision should be modified. The employer had good cause for the non-appearance at the AT1 hearing because the notice of telephone hearing arrived at the employer's address late. On the timeliness issue, the employer claimed to have sent a timely response to the notice of maximum potential chargeback, but they did not provide any evidence to support the claim or even provide specific testimony as to when the alleged timely protest was sent. The employer filed a late protest, and the portion of the AT decision ruling on that issue should be affirmed. Modify the AT good cause for their non-appearance at AT1, no timely protest to the notice of maximum potential chargeback.
Reverse the AT, employer established good cause for AT1, timely response to the NMPC, resubmit.
We will resubmit the case. Thank you.
Case number 2946467. Commissioner Dimerson,
We should modify the appeal tribunal decision. First, I agree with the timeliness finding. Regarding the merits, testimony from both parties established that the claimant's start time with the employer had been 6:30 a.m. for about 7 months, during which time the claimant's son was enrolled in childcare with the employer. When the claimant chose to move her son to a different childcare provider, she requested a change in her schedule. The employer was not able to accommodate the claimant's schedule with 1 day's notice, and the claimant quit. By choosing to make different childcare arrangements and not providing the employer a reasonable opportunity to address her request before quitting, the claimant quit without good cause connected with the work. We should find the claimant's appeal to the commission timely and modify the AT decision. Timely employer appeal, voluntary leaving, no chargeback, sever the adequate employer response issue. In the alternative, because the employer had submitted additional correspondence for the hearing that the AT refused to obtain or consider, we should rehear this case for admission and review of this documentation.
I agree with staff's recommendation on the timeliness of the commission appeal. The claimant filed a late appeal because she was misinformed by a TWC representative that the overpayment from the AT decision had been waived. The claimant's late appeal due to misinformation from a TWC representative should be deemed timely. However, the AT decision on the timeliness of the employer's appeal to the AT is not supportable. The employer alleged that they sent a fax appeal from the determination within the appeal period. In appeal number 98-005480-10-052098, the commission established a precedent that when a party alleges a timely fax appeal that the agency has not received, the party must provide a fax transmission report to prove the timely appeal. The employer in this case has not provided any such transmission report to support its claim. The employer appeal to the AT should therefore be dismissed. Timely appeal to the commission, late appeal to the AT, no voluntary leaving, chargeback, void, and a good response. Even if the employer's appeal to the AT is considered timely, the evidence establishes that the claimant is qualified for benefits. The employer made a material change in the hiring agreement by changing the claimant's work schedule, which interfered with the claimant's ability to obtain childcare. The claimant attempted to address this issue with the director without success. The claimant had good cause connected with the work to quit in response to the change in her working conditions. Timely appeal to the commission, timely appeal to the AT, no voluntary leaving, chargeback, void, adequate response.
Timely commission appeal, modify the AT, timely employer appeal, voluntary leaving, no chargeback, sever adequate response.
Short form dissent.
I have your short form dissent, Commissioner Alvarez.
Case number 2961079, Commissioner Alvarez.
The AT decision should be modified. The claimant did not receive the hearing packet and established good cause for missing the hearing. The claimant was discharged and had no reasonable assurance of further work with the employer. The employer alleged that the claimant violated a policy that required vacation requests to be submitted 2 weeks in advance. However, the employer had approved the claimant's vacation despite the late notice. While she may have technically violated the policy, she was unaware that her request would result in her discharge, and the employer could have simply denied her request. Since the employer approved the vacation request despite the late notice, the final incident did not rise to the level of misconduct connected with the work. The AT decision should be modified. The claimant established good cause, no reasonable assurance, no misconduct, bill reimbursing employer.
We should modify the appeal tribunal decision regarding the good cause issue. The claimant did not receive the hearing notice because she provided TWC with her incorrect address. As the claimant was not prevented from participating due to circumstances beyond her control, she did not have good cause for her non-appearance. Concerning the job separation, the employer established that the claimant was discharged for failure to meet deadlines and maintain proper communication with the employer after prior warnings. As such, the claimant mismanaged her position of employment. As to the reasonable assurance issue, I agree that the claimant did not have reasonable assurance. Accordingly, we should modify the AT decision. The claimant did not have good cause for her non-appearance, misconduct, reimbursing employer not billed. The claimant did not have reasonable assurance and add adequate employer response.
Reverse the AT, claimant established good cause for AT1, no misconduct, bill reimbursing employer. The claimant did not have reasonable assurance.
Could you repeat that, please?
Reverse the AT, claimant established good cause for AT1, no misconduct, bill reimbursing employer. Claimant did not have reasonable assurance.
Thank you.
Short form dissent.
I have your short form dissent, Commissioner Emerson.
Thank you.
Case number 2991314, Commissioner Dimerson.
We should modify the appeal tribunal decision. The employer had a zero tolerance policy for the use of electronic devices when driving. The claimant was terminated when he was observed driving while using a handheld device. Although the claimant alleged that he was holding a candy bar instead of a cell phone, this testimony is unpersuasive. The claimant was observed and written up by a DOT officer, an independent party to the incident. Since the available records show that the claimant was aware and furthermore acknowledged that the employer's policy on the usage of electronic devices, the claimant using his cell phone while driving constituted mismanagement of his position of employment and was misconduct connected with the work. Hence, we should modify the AT decision, misconduct, no chargeback, sever adequate employer response.
The AT decision should be reversed. The claimant provided sworn testimony that he was eating a chocolate bar while driving, which was not a violation of the employer's policy. The employer offered exclusively secondhand hearsay testimony that the claimant used a handheld device while driving. The employer's testimony is insufficient to overcome the claimant's sworn denial. Reverse the AT decision, no misconduct, chargeback, void, adequate response. Ruling.
Reverse the AT, no misconduct, chargeback, void adequate response. A memo to investigate possible excessive earnings.
Short form dissent.
I have your short form dissent, Commissioner Emerson,
Thank you.
and we will send that memo.
Case number 3036077, Commissioner Dimerson.
We should grant a rehearing in this case. First, I agree that the claim is valid and the employer filed a timely protest. As to the merits, an employer's witness was not able to participate in the hearing due to an emergency, despite several attempts by the hearing officer to include her. This HR witness would provide relevant information concerning the job separation that we should consider before rendering our decision on this case. Accordingly, we should rehear the testimony from the employer's witness that was not available to testify.
The AT decision should be affirmed. The claimant was unemployed and filed a valid claim. We agree that the employer's protest was timely. As the claimant's last absence was due to a personal illness with prior notice to the employer, the claimant was discharged for reasons other than misconduct connected with the work. Affirm the AT decision, valid claim, timely protest, no misconduct.
Rehear.
We will rehear the case. That is the last of the pulled UI cases for docket 46. There are remaining cases to be voted on docket 46. You should have received the short form dissent lists.
Move we accept staff recommendations on the remaining UI cases on docket 46.
I second the motion, except for those cases in which I'm dissenting as reflected on the UI short form dissent list for docket 46.
I encourage chairman's motion, except for the cases on which I'm dissenting, is reflected in the UI short form dissent list for docket 46.
Motion passes with the exceptions known. We'll take a short break.
Thank you.
Is in the car.
Yes.
This is agenda item 8, acknowledgement of gifts and donations.
Well, technology is not my strong suit. Good thing law is. My name is Shana Kelly. I am an Assistant General Counsel in the Office of General Counsel, and I'm here to talk to you about the gifts and donations from the last quarter. As you are aware, state law requires state law allows TWC to accept donations of money, services, or property that further the lawful objectives of the Workforce Commission, as long as it's not a prohibited donation, such as from a regulated party, someone who's under certain kinds of investigation. We have a list. So, and then further, for gifts and donations over $500, the name of the donor, the amount, and the item must be entered into the public record. And so that is what we are doing here today. In the last quarter, we received 10 different employees had their travel paid for by 8 different employees, went on 10 different trips paid for by 5 outside parties. And we also received a donation of 1 assistive technology device from a business here in Austin. All of these donations were presented for inquiry and initial acceptance to Executive Director Cerna. And all of the details have been provided into the packet that was provided to you and entered into public record. All right, that's all I have. But do you guys have any questions for me?
Any comments or questions?
None here, Chairman.
None here.
All right, well, thank you so much.
Well, maybe one.
Commissioner, are you suggesting what I think you're suggesting?
Probably so. I don't know if this is her first time here. Your
This
first time testimony?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it is. And she was made advised, I could tell, because she tried to make a very hasty getaway from the podium.
She was running.
I think there's this urban legend that I'm not paying attention up here, but I was watching the whole time. There's no questions. Is there a motion?
One question. Does you mentioned that Executive Director Cerner, the gifts are given to Executive Director Cerner. Does he get to keep all of the gifts?
Unfortunately, no, that would be a violation of another state law.
Thank you. No other questions?
Thank you.
Is it your expectation, Commissioner, that she would know all the laws?
She's under less, so probably so.
Yeah. All right. Is there any other questions? Is there a motion?
I move that we accept the gifts and donations valued at more than $500 as discussed by staff.
Second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded. We're unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is agenda item 9, AEL Outcomes Report to the Texas Legislature for state fiscal year 2022.
Good morning, Chairman Daniel, Commissioner Alvarez, Commissioner Dimerson, and Mr. Cerna. For the record, Mahalia Baldini, Workforce Development Division. For your consideration this morning, I'm bringing forward the Adult Education and Outcomes Report as outlined in Texas Labor Code 315.002, which requires the Texas Workforce Commission to report educational and employment outcomes for the Adult Education and Literacy Program by December 1st of every even numbered year to the Texas Legislature. Your notebook materials outline performance-related data on AEL enrollment, as well as the educational and employment outcomes of AEL participants. It also outlines the current adult education and literacy grantees across the state and the required state-approved testing instruments used to measure literacy, numeracy, and language gains for the purpose of federal and state reporting. This concludes my remarks, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have about the contents of the report.
Any comments or questions?
None here, Chairman.
None here.
Is there a motion?
I move that we approve the Adult Education Literacy Outcomes Report for fiscal year 2022 for submission to the Texas Legislature as discussed by staff.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. We're unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you. Agenda item 10, final rules, chapter 819 Civil Rights Division relating to sexual harassment complaints.
Good morning, Chairman Daniel, Commissioner Alvarez, Commissioner Demerson, Mr. Serna. For the record, I'm Robert Gonzalez with the Civil Rights Division. Commissioners, before you today for your consideration and adoption are final rule amendments to Chapter 819 Texas Administrative Code. In an open meeting on August 9th, 2022, the Commission approved proposed amendments to TWC's Chapter 819 rules, House Bill 21 and Senate Bill 45 relating to the statute of limitations for filing a sexual harassment complaint against an employer and prohibition of sexual harassment in the workplace. The proposed rule amendments were published in the August 26, 2022 issue of the Texas Register for a 30-day public comment period. Public comments were received. Staff reviewed and responded to comments, but no changes were made to the proposed rule. Additionally, staff conducted a 4-year review of Chapter 819 in accordance with Texas Government Code 2001.039 and determined that the initial reasons for adopting the chapter still exist and this chapter is still needed. Staff recommends adopting the amendments to Chapter 819. Should the Commission adopt these rules, staff requests the ability to make minor non-substantive changes to the document in order to comply with publication requirements of the Texas Register and the Office of the Secretary of State. This concludes my presentation. I'm available to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Questions or comments?
Mr. Gonzalez, is this your first time doing a presentation?
No, sir. I've been up here several times.
I've never
The
seen you.
same chapter.
I was going to introduce myself, but thank you. Good presentation.
Thank you.
Nothing else.
None for me.
Is there a motion?
I move that we approve and adopt final rule amendments to Chapter 819 Civil Rights Division as recommended by staff.
A second.
Been moved and seconded. We're unanimous.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman, I wonder if Robert was being truthful there.
Oh.
He's been here several times, so. The COVID time period, maybe we missed him. That's what it was.
Go ahead and come up here. We're going to explore this other issue real quick. Several times? You can do it from there.
Yes, sir.
Like how many is several? Like what's your definition of several?
More than one.
Well done. Well done. What? Sorry about that.
All righty. Good morning, Chairman, Commissioners, and Mr. Serna. For the record, Cherie Dudley with Workforce Development. Today, for your consideration, we have Workforce Board nominations for Borderplex, Capital Area, Concho Valley, North Central Texas, Golden Crescent, North Texas, West Central Texas, and Texoma. Staff recommends approval on the presented nominees, and I'm here to answer questions you may have.
Any comments or questions?
None here, Chairman.
None.
Is there a motion?
Chairman, I move that we approve the board nominees for Borderplex, Capital Area, Concho Valley, North Central Texas, Golden Crescent, North Texas, West Central Texas, and Texoma.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. We're unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you. Legislative report,
No, sir.
Executive Director's report.
Just a brief one. We do have with us a rarity in that IT is in the house versus at their house working. But Heather Hall will come up and talk about our apprentices. And I would like to point out that two people sitting back there, the one at the far right and the far left are not apprentices. You may not remember seeing them, but they're not apprentices. So.
Good morning, Chairman Daniel, Commissioner Alvarez, Commissioner Demerson, and Mr. Serna. For the record, my name is Heather Hall, and I'm the CIO for TWC, and it's good to be back with you again. As our agency celebrates National Apprenticeship Week, I'm happy to be joined today by 3 of our 10 software engineer apprentices, Rachel Hunter, Andreas Vasquez, and Eddie Fehrenbach. As you know, IT has worked with our amazing workforce and HR divisions to create, post, and fill 10 programmer positions as software engineer apprentices. We've hired our apprentices from across the state, so the other 7 are watching remotely today. This talented team of employees has a variety of backgrounds, and they have a passion for technology. In our 2-year apprenticeship program, TWC has committed to provide training and meaningful work assignments for them while they learn. They have already started coding and making changes to some of our critical systems, and they're working on defects for our IT systems. Several of them are also participating on our new rapid application team and learning to code with a low-code tool. Rachel, Andreas, and Eddie are attending the apprenticeship event at noon today. And I also wanted to mention that Dorothy Fallon is in the audience as well. She's our enterprise architect. She is also serving as the coach for this apprenticeship team. Dorothy has taken this team under her wing, and she is meeting with them every week, sharing information and answering questions and providing them guidance. And I'm happy to mention also that yesterday Dorothy received an award at the IT Leadership Government Technology Forum in part for her work with the apprenticeship team. We also had another team member, Greg Miller. He's one of our infrastructure managers. He also received an award at that event for his work on cloud infrastructure. So just wanted to welcome the 3 apprentices and thank you for your ongoing support of our new program. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions or comments?
Congratulations, Dr. Hall. How exciting. Yesterday, we had an opportunity to kick off National Apprenticeship Week, or as we like to call it, Texas Apprenticeship Week at Raytheon. And during my comments, I mentioned how we were expanding apprenticeship programs through state agencies, and what a perfect example of what you've laid out. And the folks that you've hired, Dorothy, I know comes from the University of Texas with experience working with interns, so that you know, she's got some experience in that. And so we're very excited what you've done. We know that we'll have an opportunity to meet with Les and Jerry White, and what an example that TWC is setting forth by activating and actually putting something forward when it comes to apprentices. I mean, who better to do it than the agency that's leading the charge on TWC apprentices? And I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank, Desi. I've done it multiple times. Everywhere we go, people continue to talk about and rave about the great things that this agency is doing when it comes to innovative things, thinking outside the box, how we're, in parts of Texas and explaining to them the various services that this agency provides. It's just another tool that we provide employers to be successful. So thank you. Congratulations to the agency, but Dr. Hall, thank you to you for, coming through with this vision that you had. And we discussed it at the state conference last year at a table. So thank you for that. So I just wanted to congratulate you and your team for doing this. So thank you.
It seems like Commissioner Alvarez has echoed everything that I would say as well. So Dr. Hall, thank you for your leadership. This is trailblazing, your leadership as well, allowing it to happen. It's something that we should share with other agencies as we talk about the labor shortage. I represent the employers in the state, and the Workforce Commission is an employer in the state, and you're finding a way to take care of that situation through this program. I often say that apprenticeships offer employers another tool in the toolbox, and if it works for them, that's great. If it doesn't, that's great as well. But it offers them an opportunity, and you're taking advantage of it. And it takes leadership. And so thank you, Dr. Hall, for what you're doing, your team, and then Ed, thank you for what you're doing in that regard.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I would just say, I really have always appreciated innovative solutions to things. I mean, I think when people hear the term legacy computing systems, that it sort of creates this Hallmark movie picture of what we're dealing with. I mean, here we have speak languages ranging from Fortran to Python, and then we're working on no code options for advancing the agencies that we deal with. Literally hundreds of vendors, and there's so much activity going on out there. And at the same time, the state has a chronic shortage of IT professionals that keep showing up in our top 10 list of most advertised jobs, and that's going to hit us too. And so finding someone with the enthusiasm to learn what for the most part are dead languages with terms of hardware and software that it runs, even into the more innovative things. I think that's just a daily difficult task. I appreciate this innovative solution. I don't think turning it off and turning it back on was going to get us kind of the computer personnel that we were looking for here. And so, I think there's a lot to be said for finding an innovative staffing solution. And I think for you guys that are participating in this internship program, this apprenticeship program rather, I think you're sort of getting, I think, the best of both worlds, in the sense that you can go to class and learn everything that you need to learn, but you'll remember it a lot better when you're actually in there doing it. And I think it really creates an opportunity for success for you for the long term, which I hope is all at TWC, but I'm realistic about the fact of what goes on in the world. I think for us, it's twofold. We're excited to have you here working with us, doing the things that we need to be done. But I think I'm equally excited for us to have this apprenticeship program that can be a model for other agencies, or perhaps we become the training provider for a lot of other agencies. There's so many different ways it could go. We don't know what's going to happen, but it's going to be good. So I appreciate you taking time to come in here today, share this with us. I look at the opportunities that are ahead of us, and I look at all the things that are happening in your shop, and I just again, I can't say enough. Finding innovative solutions is the only way we're going to solve the problems. I appreciate you taking a risk on this. I think it's going to pay off for you handsomely.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. All right. Is there any other order of business come before the commission?
None here.
I was just impressed with our executive director's rapper skills when he said that they're in the house. He's glad to see them in the house rather than at the house. I thought that was pretty unique of Ed. So that's it, Mr. Chairman.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn.
I second that motion.
Chris says we're adjourned, so we're adjourned.
All right.